There are numerous inspiring stories of perseverance. J.K. Rowling was on welfare while working on Harry Potter. Thomas Edison experimented with dozens of materials before settling on tungsten filaments for the light bulbs that helped build an industrial empire. In the Swiss patent office, Albert Einstein, unable to find a job in science, concocted his revolutionary theories for physics. We rarely hear stories in which the moral is that the person should have just given up. These stories, however, do exist. They're just not as well known, but they should be. Consider the case of Isaac Newton, famous for discovering the law of gravity which connects apple falls and planet orbits. Nonetheless, he spent years deciphering weird numerological secrets concealed in the Bible that he felt might provide him with the recipe for turning lead into gold. Every decision you make to keep going comes with a cost. Quitting too soon and too frequently means you never get over the problematic portions and into the sections where your efforts may pay off. The accessible regions in life where you can win with little effort are crowded. Only until you've progressed past this point, where you'll need perseverance, vision, and drive, will you begin to reap the benefits. When things are simple, everyone does them. Therefore, you want to go somewhere where things are difficult enough to warrant your attention. Failure to quit is a failure to learn. Sometimes your ideas and vision do not correspond to reality. What you're trying to achieve will not succeed, and persisting in the same direction will cost you much more than simply your pride. We are taught that the best way to approach life is to never give up. And although perseverance and grit are necessary for success, so is knowing when to give up. But how can you know when it's time to call it quits? After all, if you give up every time you feel like it, you'll never get anything done. These 4 questions can help you decide whether it's time to say goodbye, or stick it out a bit longer. Why was I interested in this in the first place? Every worthy project will encounter difficulties and failures. In trying circumstances, it's tempting to become obsessed with how bad things are and lose sight of why we pursued the project or accepted the job offer in the first place. But according to Alison Gabriel Rossetti, a professor of management and psychology at the University of Arizona, when an employee is having a difficult time at work, they should remind themselves of why they got the position in the first place. Understanding their why and determining whether or not it coincides with their work assists the employee in making a more sensible decision about whether or not to continue. If they discover that what they are doing is still very much in line with their why, it may indicate that the challenge is simply something they must endure. If they are dissatisfied with their employment because it does not align with their purpose, and is unlikely ever to be, then quitting may be a better option. Why do I have the desire to stop? When something makes us uncomfortable, we want to get rid of it. Understanding why we took on the task in the first place and why we are considering quitting makes it easier to decide what is best. Assume you're a new business owner, facing financial uncertainty, and you're concerned that people don't take you seriously as they did when you were a high-flying executive at a worldwide organization. When you witness your former coworkers living their lifestyle and getting the celebrity treatment, your pride may force you to resign and return to your previous life. However, as recruiting expert Skip Hall points out, pride or prestige should never be the sole motivator for a job change. There are so many additional aspects to consider, even if they are more difficult to see. For example, suppose you left your corporate executive job because you were unhappy with your lack of autonomy, and quitting your business meant returning to that. In that case, you'll probably be unhappier if you stop being an entrepreneur. Hall, on the other hand, stated that if your values don't coincide with what you're doing, you're unlikely to be able to make yourself happier in the long run. If you don't feel proud of the decisions you made at work at the end of the day, it's time to explore a change. So, if you discover that you flourish better as an employee during your entrepreneurial adventure, abandoning your business venture may be the best thing to do. Have I tried everything in my power to make this work for me? As Stephanie Vaza has stated, sometimes your frustrations are caused by change, and the best thing to do in this case is to accept it. Other times you've tried one strategy and failed. Therefore, you need to try a new approach to get different and better outcomes. Entrepreneurs do this all the time by pivoting their businesses when one path fails. For example, according to a 2016 Fast Company article, Nama Bloom, the founder of the tampon subscription service HelloFlow, which was ultimately acquired by She Knows Media, understood that her clients desired more information than anything else. So rather than her initial product-based idea, she focused on generating content and collaborating with companies to build her business. However, there will be occasions when no amount of pivot will provide the desired effects. For example, when the Brooklyn Kitchen's co-founders were approached about opening a store in Manhattan, they saw it as a fantastic business opportunity. However, their Manhattan store never took off, and after a year they decided to abandon the endeavor. It was evident that no matter what they did, the concepts they attempted to promote would fall flat. One of the co-founders, Taylor Kinnan, stated, "We would have been sunk if we had delayed any longer. What can I expect from quitting? Whether you choose to do something or not, everything you do has an opportunity cost. And sometimes quitting something means having more resources to devote to something more essential to you." In Barking Up the Wrong Tree, the surprising science behind why everything you know about success is mostly wrong, author Eric Barker presented the case of Spencer Glendon, a high school student who had severe ulcerative colitis. Because of his impaired immune system, he was told to limit his activities to 1 per day. That's precisely what he did. It could be as easy as cooking dinner, or it could be something more complex. He rapidly discovered that quitting something that wasn't that essential to him freed him up to do what he desired. In other words, he gained a lot by quitting. We don't like to think about limits, yet we all have them, Barker wrote. While grit is frequently associated with stories, quitting is frequently associated with limits, pushing them, optimizing them, and most importantly, knowing them. Glendon couldn't ignore his. Instead, he was compelled to accept trade-offs and direct his limited energy toward the things that mattered, to stop doing everything else. Fatigue, anxiety, and frustration can all cause emotional states that make it difficult to continue. However, sometimes the issue is simply a fleeting mood. If you're thinking about giving up something essential to you and you've already invested a lot of time in it, I strongly advise you to start with a short break, a semester off from school. Take a leave of absence from your job. Take a vacation to clear your mind. Once you've regained a more neutral state of mind, you can reassess your feelings to determine if they urge you to get back up and continue on your previous route, or if the distance strengthens your resolve to give it all up. Whatever you do, keep in mind that there is no perfect answer to life's issues. You will always make decisions in the face of uncertainty. It is entirely up to you to make your decision. Empathink Inspirations contains videos that will help you encourage yourself while providing suggestions on how to achieve great success, how to live an inspirational life, morning motivation, motivational speeches, and life mantras. We are here to help you reach your unique and immediate objective. So subscribe now, and we will lead you along the proper route to changing your way of thinking, feeling, and behaving.